Hello, and welcome to our webinar, Time from Creation to SAP HANA, Challenges, Practical Experience and Conclusions. My name is Aleksandra Borucka. I am from the Marketing Department in BCC, and I am organizer of this event. I have just three short informations before we start. The webinar will take about 60 minutes. The second one, our session is being recorded, so then we will publish it on our website, and we will send you, of course, the email with link to this recording. And the last one, organizational. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the box on your right side, which is questions chat. I will collect all your questions and pass to presenters, and we will answer the questions in the email we will send 1 or 2 days after the webinar. Thank you very much. Now Marcin Bartoszewski and Krzysztof Siwiec will present the topic. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Krzysztof Siwiec. In BCC, I'm Business Development Manager responsible for Business Intelligence, so for SAP HANA as well. I have more than 15 years of experience with SAP. I was also a program manager in SAP HANA migration project, so I will share my experience with SAP HANA from the project management point of view and also from the technical point of view. I'll start with a short introduction. From the history point of view, databases were based on disk systems. The first databases were totally disk-based. Then, when memory got cheaper and increased, some of the databases learned how to use cache. Afterwards, when flash disks were introduced to speed up the databases, the flash disks were used instead of old-fashioned magnetic disks. But still, the database construction was the same. It was the old database designed for hard disk to operate on. And then we have introduction of SAP HANA, a new database, different. It's more revolution than evolution. It's the database totally in memory, that operates in memory and used disks only for persistence. So to say it simpler, only when the power is off, so that we don't lose our data. In fact, when operating, SAP HANA doesn't need disk at all. SAP HANA was based on some hardware and software innovations. So SAP HANA uses multi-core architectures, 64-bit addressing that allowed for huge memory storage, and of course from the prices of RAM that were decreasing and allowed to have servers that have enough memory to run such database that is totally stored in memory. Also, some software innovations were important to build SAP HANA. So the invention of raw store as a new way of storing data, especially well suited for reading and aggregating data. Partitioning and other software innovations were important for SAP HANA. And then the SAP HANA database was created by SAP and it has the old row, classical row table as well as all classical databases, but it also has the column tables. It has special views that allow accessing data and reporting even simpler and quicker. And of course, it has some clients to manage database and to do programming on the database, accessing it via SQL, and so on. But SAP HANA, it's not only a database. Database is the base, I would say, of SAP HANA platform. But SAP HANA is a platform, it's more than it. It's also the acquiring data part. So real-time data replication with a tool to replicate data to SAP HANA in real time from SAP systems and from any databases. SAP HANA platform also consists of SAP Business Object Data Services. That's also a tool to acquire data into a HANA database, but less in real time, but Business Object Data Services allow more complex transformation of data and getting data from various other sources that would be inaccessible with real-time and data replication. SAP HANA database, it's not only a database that allows column and row store, but it's also it also has some predefined libraries that allow to execute more complex actions directly on the database. So, for example, a calculation engine allows for statistical calculations done on the database, and planning engine allows for complex planning scenario runs directly on the database. Above that, SAP HANA platform has tools to govern it. So SAP HANA Studio for SAP HANA database management and SAP HANA Information Composer, a simpler component for the end users to perform simple tasks just like loading a flat file into a database or just looking at database. Depends on authorization. Okay, so how SAP HANA platform is much more than a database that's run in memory. It's a whole platform well suited both for analytics and on transaction processing. It can be used standalone for either to replace an old database, a classical database, or to create new applications, or in SAP BW environments, just next to SAP environments. It was the first use case that was available from 2011 when data replication from, for example, ERP system, SAP ERP system, allowed for reporting in real time on ERP data. Then with 2012, SAP HANA for Business Warehouse was introduced, and the exchange of database below Business Warehouse was possible, and SAP HANA could supercharge Business Warehouse to make it run quicker and to make new possibilities that we'll talk about later. And in 2013, SAP HANA for ERP and CRM and other SAP NetWeaver system was introduced. With this move, SAP introduced SAP HANA to transaction system, so not only to speed up and to make new possibilities for analytical system, but also for transactional ones. Okay. More about details will say my colleague Marcin Bartoszewski. Now I'm passing voice to him.
My name is Marcin Bartoszewski. I'm a basis consultant in BCC. I have 10 years experience in SAP system, and I would like to say about difference in classic databases and SAP HANA. It's not difficult to guess that the main difference is in memory. The classic database use a limited amount of memory only for buffer some part of database. And the buffer must be still optimized. It means that we have to insert and delete data from the buffer. In HANA, we can put all database into memory, so we don't need to the buffer. Yes, we only must input all data into memory during HANA start. The next difference in classic DB, log volume is mostly located on the disk storage with the same disk type like data. In HANA, we have dedicated storage card for log volume, and this storage card have very high performance, over 200 input-output operation per system. And what does it mean for us? In most classic databases, disk storage is a bottleneck. We can, of course, buy a high-end system storage, but it's very expensive. HANA does not have to read a large amount of data from the disk storage because data is in memory. And in case of writing, we used very fast I/O cards. And HANA used similar concepts to classic DB for writing data. First, data are stored in log volume, located on persistent storage, it's not in memory. And after that, data is writing to memory and persistent storage. So it's a safe way to writing data. And the next difference, in classic database, we have mapping in memory. Mapping order is similar to row order. So when we need to aggregate some data, we have to jump between cells. In HANA, we have two kinds of mapping. One is classic row store, and the new one is column store. And the order of mapping is based not on row but on column. So when we want to aggregate some data, we can read memory continuously. And the second advantage is that we have a high compression. Because of column store, we have in one place similar data, so it's easy to use dictionary compression, and it gives us even 10 times compression rate. How it looks like from a SAP point of view. During migration, all cluster and pool tables are converted to transparent tables, so we can use any tools which can be connected to the database and read data from all tables. Now when we use classic databases, not every table is available because some tables are cluster tables and they look different on database level and on SAP level. So this is an advantage, so we can easy reporting with external tools. What else? Secondary indexes are also removed during migration. In fact, they are not needed. This reduces memory usage. Some secondary indexes are still needed in ERP system, but it's only a small number of indexes. Let's say about some technical aspects. High availability, scaling, and performance. In business warehouse system, we can use many HANA boxes to divide the system into parts. We have one master node, which is responsible for system tables, management, logs, and so on. And then we have many slave nodes responsible for storing data, for queries, for loads, and general processing data. Number of slave nodes depends on the size of the database, and our landscape can be also extended by standby nodes. In case of failure, we can replace master or slave nodes with standby. Unfortunately, the same scaling method it's not available for ERP systems. Now, I'm sure SAP provides the solution in future. For now, we have to create a HANA database on the one box. So we need to use hardware solutions. Of course, standby node is also available for HANA, so high availability is still accessible. Let's say more about high availability solution. We have two ways to create high availability in HANA. First solution based on hardware solution. It's using network storage systems. Persistent storage, data and log, is migrated to second site, and in case of failure, we can connect our HANA box to the storage and start HANA on the second side. And the second solution is based on log replication, similar to classic databases. We are connecting two databases, primary database and standby, and all transaction from the primary is transmitted to the secondary nodes. Like I said before, in ERP system we have to use only one HANA box for database. But it's not the problem because even huge databases are compressed to accepted values. On the slide I show you now is an example of real system. The classic database was DB2 on i5 platform. It was 2.5 terabytes. After migration, it was about 600 gigabytes. So even if the database is really huge, it is enough to migrate to HANA. On the next slide, we have some comparison of few transaction response time. We done this comparison during migration project. This comparison was done directly after migration, so there is no optimization, there is no any accelerators, and changing source code. So the results can be even better if we use optimization tools. The next example is a simple query executed on one of the biggest tables in the system. The same query on the classic database and on HANA. There's only a small difference in number of records, but the difference is because this query was performed in different point in time. So on the classic database, we have about 400 seconds to perform to counting all values in one of column, and on HANA we have about 18 milliseconds. So the difference is about 5,000 faster on HANA.
Okay, so now it's me, Chris Schwitz again. I will tell you a bit about benefits of SAP HANA for ERP and BW. This slides, this presentation will be based on our experience from real projects. So let's start from BW, from analytics system. So when we migrate BW to HANA database, the first thing one can see is the database system on the information window. It's HDB, so HANA database. And then when looking at the modeling of data flows, one can and one should even do after migration the conversion of data providers, so the InfoCubes and DSO objects to SAP HANA optimized version. In fact, it's a simplification because the data from these objects is stored in column stored in HANA database. It doesn't need to be stored as it was in a complex way in BW before. So conversion to SAP HANA optimized version is just simplifications. It's just getting rid of technical ID, so-called system ID seeds, and complex structure for info cubes. But it's a simple, straightforward step, so that can be done for large number of objects in one step. And then the info cube is optimized, and we have the gains from SAP HANA. The gains declared by SAP are 10 to 1,000 times quicker reporting, 5 to 10 times quicker planning and data acquisition. And in fact, we measured this on our client after migration, and data loading was more than 5 times quicker, sometimes even 10 times quicker. Reporting was usually more than 100 times quicker, and the most complex reports that the client has run that were based on info sets, so it's something that usually takes a lot of time in BW because it's processing data during reporting, it's connecting data from 2 data providers on the fly. So these reports were more than 40 times quicker. That was a huge improvements for the clients. So reports that run beforehand 30 minutes, run below 1 minute, it was quick enough, 30 seconds for the users to really use them. And before each report run has to have its own aggregate, and after migration to SAP HANA, the aggregates and optimization was unnecessary. The speed was, as it's shown, without any aggregation, without any special optimization. So, in fact, when you see the gains of BW on HANA, it's quicker reporting, I would say around 100 times. Loading time decreased 5 to 10 times, and of course planning can be faster as well. What's important, nothing has changed for the user on SAP BW side, apart from the performance at the beginning. So the users didn't see any interruption in their system. It was for them a very easy project, so they didn't see any influence, negative influence on the project. But for the people that's creating new data flows in SAP HANA, or changing them or maintaining them, the migration has changed a lot. The maintenance started to be much simpler. It was several reasons. For example, data loading was quicker, so reloading data was much simpler. Then, in fact, reporting over info cubes is as quick as so that info cubes are usually aggregated data, is as quick as reporting online items. So in fact, in data flows, one don't need info cubes anymore. So the data flow can be much simpler in BW. And there is no need of aggregations, so no time lost for aggregates. Only positive effects of this migration. So in fact, lower total cost of ownership. And what is most important, I would say, because when people think about HANA, they think about speed. And in here, I would say, it's not the speed that is important, but what is important that the end users gain the flexibility when reporting. so they can prepare reports, even huge reports on huge data themselves. They don't need IT people to prepare aggregates for them, so that the reports could run in quite enough quickly. There can be less reporting areas. The users can report directly on line items, so they can have access to more characteristics on the same reports, and the reports run very quickly anyway. So I'd say it's better self-service. That's the most important gain of SAP HANA for BW migration. Okay. And if I want to see how does it change their life, I would say here we have an example. So here we have a report, an Explorer, a Business Object Explorer report that's running directly on line items, on 40 million of line items, and will process the 40 million of records in real time. So I have several plans. I can choose one of the plans. And then perhaps to see the material groups that were sold in the plant, seeing the revenue, but perhaps I would be also interested in cost of goods sold. Yeah, here I have the values, but I could also be interested in percentages. So I could see it in various ways. Just searching the data, just drilling it down, and looking for example, the material group that's best selling in one of our plants. So, in fact, this is possible in real time because it's based on HANA. If it wasn't based on HANA, I wouldn't be able to drill down on 40 million of records in the real time. The system response would, for each drill down movement, would be several minutes, and it just wouldn't be possible. Okay, it was the example. So let's move to SAP ERP on HANA. SAP declares a lot of performance changes. Reporting speed improvements up to more than 1,000, quicker MRP runs, and a lot of transaction that runs quicker, and some new transaction, for example, for master data reading, sales and distribution. So SAP declares a lot of performance changes, and as you saw before, we have a lot of performance changes measured at our clients that migrated to SAP HANA for ERP. All in all, the period in closing was more than 2 times quicker, but you should take into account that period end closing is usually only part of system task. It's also a lot of checks done by people, so I would say the system was performing at least 4 times quicker, but of course people didn't get quicker because they worked on HANA. So the period in closing was 2 times quicker. A lot of reports and transactions ran quicker. Especially the transaction that the settlements, there were lots quicker, for example, more than 4 times, and there were also some new reporting capabilities I will say about now. Okay, so SAP HANA on ERP, it's not only the speed, it's also some new capabilities. So new transaction, as I said, for master data reading in sales and distribution, for data search in material management, for line item reporting. Perhaps I'll show you a transaction for line item reporting. It's entirely new transaction with for vendor line items with H like HANA at the end, and perhaps I'll show you the comparison between the old transaction and new one. So this is the ERP system. We can check that it's on HANA database. Okay, and I will just run a classical report, so showing vendor line items, and perhaps I'll open a new session and run a report, the same report but with HANA Accelerator, with the same filters at the beginning. And here I have the result just in seconds. Yeah, the database 40,000 records were read and aggregated. I can disaggregate them. I can add some new characteristics to the report. It can be also a document number, and it will be read in seconds as well. Yes, you can see it. And the old transaction finally has finished, but it took more than a minute. It's not the same, yeah, as you see, but you can see the acceleration of SAP HANA that's really allowing reporting on line items in ERP system very quickly and efficiently. Of course, apart from some new transaction, there are entirely new functionalities that's introduced with HANA, and in fact, SAP is developing most new functionalities that work only on SAP HANA. For example, SAP new accounting powered by SAP HANA, SAP cash management powered by SAP HANA, SAP liquidity management powered by SAP HANA. So all these new functionalities that SAP is developing now for ERP systems are accessible only when you are on HANA. So that's an additional reason to migrate to HANA. And last but not least, SAP HANA Live Reporting. It's similar to SAP Business Content developed for a business warehouse system, but this time it's SAP Business Content developed for ERP systems. These are just predefined views for SAP HANA that's used by an ERP system as a database, and these predefined views allow simple reporting directly out of SAP HANA database below SAP ERP system. So it allows quickly report creation that can get data in real time from SAP ERP system, and it's also a very important gain from migrating SAP ERP system to SAP HANA. voice to Marcin Bartoszewski again. Thank you.
In this part, I would like to tell you about about migration project. Let's see how we can divide the project. We can divide the project into 4 parts. First, preparation. During this phase, we have to check the system generally. We need to check the version of the system. We need to schedule upgrade if it's needed. We need to check some special add-ons for compatibility with HANA. I will show more requirements on one of the next slides. The next phase in migration. This is the most important phase because during migration phase we move the database from classic, from our current database to the new HANA database. After migration, we have to perform some post-migration steps. These steps are similar to classic OSDB migration in SAP. So it's not new, it's some standard steps. And especially for HANA, the last steps is optimization. Migration to HANA is in fact classic OSDB migration. We use the same tools. These tools are used by SAP successfully for many years. BCC also successfully done a lot of this kind of project for many customers. In short, migration look like this. First, we have to export our database to files, and then we import this data to SAP HANA. This is the first way, and the second way we can do it in parallel. So we can start the export, and in parallel we can import the data into HANA. This way we can reduce the time for migration. Before we start migration, we need to check the version of the system, because not every version of SAP Business Warehouse and ERP can be migrated to HANA. We recommend to use NetWeaver version 7.4. It's possible to migrate version 7.3. But we don't recommend this way, because in version 7.4 SAP create many improvements and resolve many of the bugs. So version 7.4 is the best. It is for now the best version to migrate to HANA. So first step is upgrade to 7.4. And in the next step, we use Software Provisioning Manager, standard migration tool from SAP, and we move the database to HANA. We must remember that not every database can be migrated, so at the bottom of the slide you can see minimal releases for databases. Until recently, Java part of Java systems, system SAP based on Java, cannot be migrated to HANA, but now we can also migrate Java systems, for example, Enterprise Portal, but we have to use version 7.4 with Service Pack 3 or higher. Similar information for ERP. Recommended system version is ERP 6.0 with enhancement package 7. It's possible to migrate enhancement package 6, but it's not recommended. Enhancement package, a special version of enhancement package 6 for HANA was developed by SAP, but now it's better to use enhancement 7. And the same step, first we need to upgrade the system, and then we can migrate using software provisioning manager, and the same minimum releases for databases, like for business warehouse. From version 1.0 Service Pack 9 of software update management tool for upgrading the system, the SAP systems, we have possibilities to use to combine update and migration. This option is called DMO, database migration option, and we can update the system and migrate in one steps. I have wrote note at the bottom of this slide. In this note you can find some details information about limits of this tool. And now Krzysztof will tell you about how to prepare for migration.
Okay. Hello again. So from a technical point of view, dual stack systems are not allowed to migrate for SAP HANA, so usually you have to, if you have dual stack system, you have to split it beforehand. You can migrate to SAP HANA only Unicode systems, so also Unicode conversion, if your system is not Unicode, has to be done beforehand. Also, only 64-bit platform can be migrated to HANA, so such a migration will have to be done beforehand as well. And one important thing, if you have any third-party add-ons or also SAP add-ons, it's important to check whether it can be used with the latest enhancement packages required for HANA. Because, for example, in our projects we came up with a problem with open text that and the project time was not adjusted to the newer enhancement packages, and we had to wait for the supplier to prepare a new add-on version for that enhancement package. Also, solution manager has to be used for HANA migration, and it has to be in the right version. So recommended 7.1 version, Service Pack 5 or higher. It is recommended to reduce the database before the SAP HANA migration for various reasons. For example, if you want to have smaller and HANA system, or just to have quicker time of the migration, because it also depends on database size. So it's recommended to consider doing archivization or just cleaning unnecessary data from the system beforehand, before migration project. And this could be done after migration. Usually customer development sometimes may need some adjustment. In fact, as we observed it by our clients, it's usually not necessary, but if in some enhancement in some customer reports you have to have huge gain of SAP HANA, it's worth to take a look at the code and optimize it for SAP HANA so that the performance gain was huge, not just big. And from the project management perspective, usually the SAP HANA migration project is quite complex, especially in the first project, for example, for migration of SAP ERP system were quite complex because, of course, of the technical complexity and because it was new, but also because usually you need to involve more than two partners for the project, so not only the customer and the SAP partner that's doing the project, but in fact our ERP migration project required close cooperation with SAP Waldorf, SAP Waldorf, because it was the 5th ERP migration project in the world. So the quick response, if we have any issues, was needed. And as SAP HANA, it's not only software, it's also hardware, and it's sold by the vendors as a pack, as hardware with pre-installed software. So we had to cooperate very closely also with the hardware partner to solve any issues with the hardware and sometimes with the SAP HANA installation, so that the projects run smoothly. So in fact, the project had 4 parties involved that had to cooperate, and from the very beginning of the project we set up the close cooperation, the procedures of cooperations. We assigned several SAP programs, SAP Partner Quality Program. We assigned the project to high priority projects that allowed us to special priority access to SAP knowledge and to SAP specialists during the migration project from specialists from Waldorf. So in fact, from a project management perspective, it's SAP HANA migration, especially for ERP system. It's quite a complex project that needs several parties to be involved. But of course, if it's well prepared and well done, it can run smoothly. As in our example, of course. Okay, I'll pass voice to Marcin Bartoszewski that will tell you more about hardware sizing. Thank you.
Before I tell you about hardware sizing, I would like to answer questions about database size. You see an example on one of the previous slides. The question is, was the database size reduced purely due to migration, or some actions on database were required? The database size was reduced pure due to migration. We didn't perform an operation like archiving or something similar. So the result was during migration. You have to remember that we have 2 factors, compression, and the second, we don't need indexes, so it let us save some space in the database. Hardware sizing. It's quite easy to size existing system for HANA because we have a few very nice tools for sizing. Before I said about these tools, I would like to say a little more about landscape, because in HANA we have some limits. First, HANA Box is used only for databases, so application servers must be installed separately on some physical or virtual host. For development and test, we can use one HANA Box for many systems, or use virtualization like VMware. And the last limit, for production, we can use only physical HANA Box. So we cannot use the virtualization layer for production systems. The main selection criteria for hardware is memory. Based on memory, disk and CPU are selected. SAP work closely with hardware vendors, so we have a long list of supported hardware platforms. Supported hardware must be used only for production systems, so test and develop, we don't have to buy supported certified hardware for development and test. How to prepare for sizing business warehouse? It's quite easy because SAP provide a report. This report gives us detailed information about current database and give us information how big box we should buy. Similar situation for ERP. We have also special report with analyze the database and give us information how many data will be in a row store, how many will be in a column store. Of course, we can use some other tools, for example, QuickSizer, but it's not so easy to use. We have to answer many questions. So I recommend to use these two reports for sizing business warehouse and ERP. And like I said before, for development and test system, we can use virtualization with VMware, and we can use the one HANA Box for few systems. At the end, let me tell about optimization of HANA. I will not be, I will tell you only about the tools available for optimizations. For HANA, SAP optimizes a lot of standard transactions. Some of them requires activation of business function, and some of them are optimized and you don't have to run any additional tasks. Of course, we have to care about our own code, and for this we have many tools. for example, database tools, for example, some tracing tools, code analysis tools, and so on. Most of these tools are used in previous version of the system, so it's not new, and they are well known. And we have one additional tools from the database point. And we have a tool for analyzing SQL queries. This tool is available from SAP HANA Studio.
Okay, so our lessons learned. Of course, with each of our projects we learn and we get our experience and we can reuse it in new projects. So the first new experience with the first SAP HANA migration project was the cooperation with SAP HANA box provider. So in fact, when the client orders the SAP HANA appliance, it came up with not in the latest SAP HANA patches. So in fact, we had to start the project from patching the SAP HANA appliance that was not in the newest version. So that's something that's one had to take into consideration and perhaps take care about this because the vendor can provide something that's not in the newest version and add some work to such a project. As I said before, one has to consider each add-on to SAP system, whether it's upgradable, whether it will not conflict migration to SAP HANA, that has some system version requirements. Of course, since the hardware is very close to software, there can be also some problem with the hardware. During our project, we had to exchange, for example, one of the memory chips because it was wrong and it caused some errors on the system and it required a lot of testing to get to the problem and cooperation with the vendor to find the problem in the system. Then it's very important to keep the migration project short because SAP is changing constantly the migration requirements and new patches arrive, and if the project takes too much time, you will have to additional tests the system with new SAP patches, so it's better to make it short to avoid unnecessary work. And of course, that's always important during upgrade and migration project, refrain from other system changes from other projects during such an upgrade migration project because it will always introduce some additional risks and work during upgrade migration project. Okay, as I said, we learned, of course, a lot of technical knowledge during our migration projects, but the lessons learned I mentioned here are the most important. That would be all. Thank you very much. We'll try to answer the questions after the webinar, so quite soon. But for now, it's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We will send you a link to the recording in, I think, 2 or 3 days. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.